not one thing impossible. Whatever you're dealing with, he can handle it. He can handle it. He can handle it. Yeah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah, Jesus. Say nothing is impossible. Y'all say that. Say nothing.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. I hope you are having a fabulous Tuesday. Make sure my cameras and stuff are good. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the ones who have tuned in so far. Thank you, thank you, thank you to the ones who have tuned in so far. And thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm trying to see maybe why my name is not popping up. There it is. So, just want to say welcome you all to the healing room. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the healing room. It is I hope it has been a wonderful day. And excuse me, I'm trying to gather myself. I am a little nervous about tonight's live. And while we're getting started, I want to encourage you to like, share, and comment. Like, share, and comment. Let people know that we are on. Let people know to tune in. I think tonight's going to be a good discussion. So let people know to come on in. Come on in the healing room. Come on in the healing room. Also, I want you to tag a friend. So if you are tuning in, but a friend of yours, you don't see them in the room, then please go and tag their name and tell them that it's time for the healing room. Tell them to come on in the room. And remember, our goal here is to start discussions, start conversations, and overall, I desire for you to begin the healing process. So our goal here is just to heal together. That's right. Our goal is just to heal together. And guess what? If you don't feel, you can't heal. So that is our goal on this afternoon, is to heal together. Remember, you'll be able to ask some questions throughout this live broadcast, and I will answer them either throughout the broadcast or I will answer them momentarily shortly before we dismiss on the broadcast. And I always like to put this disclosure up there is, we're going to be discussing some very sensitive information. If you are triggered at any moment, please exit and find a family, a friend, or even a professional to consult with. If you do watch the live broadcast throughout and you still feel like you need to have a conversation, I will be popping up some resources at the end of this live broadcast. So remember, you are not alone. Help is here and help is on the way. So please know this is supposed to be a safe space. But at any moment or any time that you are triggered, again, remember to exit this broadcast and find you someone that you can talk to that is safe. Okay. And so just want to share a little bit about me. My name is Nikisha Fleming. Some of you may know me as Lady K because I am Also married to a pastor. I'm a pastor's wife. Some of you may know me as Kiki if you grew up with me, because that's my nickname that my grandmother gave me. She couldn't say my name. And so some of you who grew up with me may know me as Kiki. Some of you who have worked with me may know me as Keisha. So I wear many hats. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, also a therapist. I recently just received, I'm so excited, so proud of myself for not giving up, my licensed certified social work certification. So it took me 3 times. If y'all saw me posted on my timeline, it took me 3 times, but on the 3rd time I passed my test. So I'm so thankful for that. And that's why I say it's an expensive piece of paper, because it took me 3 times to pass it. And I'm not ashamed to testify on that and encourage someone to move on. Good afternoon, everybody. So tonight we're going to be talking about, if you have not seen on my page, if you have not shared the flyer, I really, really want to encourage you to do so. So on Friday at the Good Shepherd Church, we will be having, dun, 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 we will be having a I guess a program, a moment, a time, whatever it is that you would like to call it, of healing and conversations and deliverance. We'll be having a moment in time for that. And so I really, really, really strongly urge you to please, 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 I'm sitting on my cell phone. I strongly urge you to please, please, please share that. I will pop the image up towards the end of this broadcast, but please share that flyer, that announcement. It will be a time we're going to have a conversation in the 4 walls of the church building about healing. And the title or the theme of the event is Heal Her. Hey, but if you are a man, I want you to know that we can heal him too. So please come into the house. We're going to be having an in-person healing room. And I am so, so, so excited about it. I am so, so excited to be having a conversation in the house where people can feel free and feel at liberty to share some of the things that they're going through. So I thought about, how can I start this live broadcast out tonight? And I just want to share a little bit about when I first, I guess, received like a really strong burden to have this conversation in the church. If you don't know, well, if you do or don't know about me, one of the things is I really enjoy seeing people at their best self. And those people, I'm starting to include myself in that. Because how many, sometimes as women, we take care of everybody else and we forget to take care of ourselves. And so I'm starting to include myself in the equation, that I really like to see people at my best self. I thought being successful and getting all these awards and accolades and degrees meant that I was being my best self. But underneath all that, I was really working for something that I already had, and that was approval. I was really working for something that I didn't get from my father, and that was approval and acceptance. And I realized that approval and acceptance, first and foremost, came from my higher power, which is God and Jesus Christ. Secondly, that approval and acceptance needed to come from me. So I'm going to share a lot of different things on tonight. And so I brought my towel just in case I get emotional. But there's some things that I'm still working through process. Yes, this therapist has a therapist. Yes, this first lady or this pastor's wife has a therapist. Yes, this mother, this sister has a therapist. And I'm glad that I'm able to have the resources to get what it is that I need to be my best self, right? So I'm going to start off with sharing this, and remember to like, share, and comment. This is a conversation. So if something I say is resonating with you, I might just pop it up on the screen so it can resonate with somebody else, right? So when I was in the process of, planning this event, the strong conviction came off. I'm like, it'd be nice to just have a night for the women. And then I've been having some men inbox me saying, hey, you got room for a man, or can the man come? Yes, brothers, you can come. And so, but anywho, so I had this strong conviction. I was like, okay, we're just going to do this. I really desire for all women. I really desire for the women at Good Shepherd. I really desire for the women in my community, in the state, whatever to be their best self. And so I was like, we're going to do this event called Heal Her. And I had this, God gave me this idea to ask this lady to come and speak. But I thought, why just have like a service or a church service? Why not we have a conversation? So I got so excited about it. And I said, I was afraid to reach out to the speaker. I don't know if you are watching LaShawn Dillard-Berry, but I was so afraid to reach out to her or to you. And I was like, you know what? Why not? The least she could say is no. So I decided to go on her website and see how to book her. And I emailed, and a few days later, I got an email back. And I said, things are just kind of falling in place. Me and my husband sent the information to him. We got to the guy who does our marketing for our church and our ministry, and he did an awesome job. If you've been seeing the flyers, I'm gonna pop it up at the end. He's been doing a marvelous job. Shameless plug, Matthew. I think his name is Matthew Terry. He's an awesome job. Does great jobs on flyers. Awesome young man. So y'all go and patronize him. But anywho, so we got the flyer. We're advertising. And I think the first day that I began to advertise the event, the next day I received news that my aunt had passed away. So I received news the next day that my aunt passed away. So in and of myself, or within myself, I say, I'm questioning and pondering, like, should I wait to do the event? Is this of God for me to do the event? Maybe I should push it off. And I remember just taking a moment. I remember she passed away. It was a Tuesday afternoon when I got the news. And I was literally just in shock that afternoon. I think me and my husband and my kids, we had went to the park. I was like, asked my husband, let's have some family time. Went to the park and got in the car, and I received the call from my mom on our way back home that afternoon. And I was just trying to process, and I was started kind of, you start pondering, and you just kind of end up going down this really bad trail of thoughts. And I was going around this really bad trail of thoughts, and guilt tries to sink in, and doubt tries to sink in, and unbelief tries to sink in. And so I continued to just cry. I remember my husband, he just sat there and held my hand and held me beside the bed, and I was just telling him, like, hey, he wanted to go take care of some type of business. I said, you go ahead, take care of business. And he said, I can't leave until I know you're okay. Shout out to my husband, the one and only Robert Fleming Jr. I love him so much. So shout out to him. He's an amazing man. My man. Hello, everybody. And so he just sat by my side while I cried and weep. So I hope my family is okay with this. And if my family is watching, I'm just sharing my lens and my experience with the recent news of my aunt, our mother, our sister passing away. So my aunt, and I'm not going to say her name, my aunt that passed away, she had some trauma of her own. And I don't think she ever really dealt with the trauma. Well, I'll say this. I don't think she ever got to go through the process of healing from the trauma. And I believe that the people in my family who also experienced this trauma, was still trying to figure out how to deal with it in and of themselves. And I think because we couldn't, and I say I feel like we were still trying to sort out our trauma and how to deal with it. When I say trauma, I know that may be like a therapy word or a mental health word. So instead of saying trauma, I'm going to say troubles. Maybe we can relate more to that word, troubles, because a lot of times when we think of the word trauma, we think it has to be something big and elaborate that happens in our lives that causes such a big disruption. But trauma, or I'm going to say troubles, can be some of the smallest minute things, and they can just begin to add up. And then some of us on here may have been through some trauma, and that trauma can look like a parent abandoning us or both parents abandoning us. That trauma can look like being raped or molested, whether it's by a family member that you know, or it's by a family friend or by a stranger. Most of the time, though, abuse happens by people that we know. Just want to put that out there. Um, Sometimes trauma can look like, oh, I got bullied. Oh, my father was there around and he wasn't around. It can be like kind of little things that kind of lead up. And as you notice that there's some things that could affect one person that may not affect the other person the same. Two people can go through the same experience and they can gather something different from it. Whereas somebody can go through an experience and they can say, I'm learning, like it can be a natural disaster. And it's like, I'm learning to prepare better. I'm learning, whereas somebody else can go through um another the same disaster and it just completely unravels them. It completely sends them over the edge. And the way that I explain this is we all have been given, and I think sometimes we're each born with a level of capacity to handle stressors. We're each as we grow up, I feel like sometimes that capacity can grow or it can decrease depending on the things that we may be experiencing in our lives, but we're each given a capacity to handle stress or stressors. And so when we have, I guess, when the stresses or stressors in our lives have exceeded that capacity, then to me, and this is the best way that I can explain it, I want y'all to really understand why y'all watching this live. Then when you have exceeded the stressors or the stresses or the worries in your life or the troubles in your life, when it has exceeded the capacity that has been built in you based on you've been born, personality, characteristics, and based on how you grew up and the things that were taught you and maybe what you watched your mom or your dad and they were resilient, so you got that from them. When we over exceed our capacity with the troubles in the world, then that's when we start having these different traumatic responses. And those responses can be physical sensations. So when we hear the word triggers, when someone say that triggered me, what they're saying is either I saw something, whether it be I heard, I smell, sound, picture, taste, your senses, right? So all your five senses, those can cause you to be triggered from something that happened to you years and years ago. So back to what I was saying about my aunt, I felt like she never got the opportunity to be the best version of herself she could be. And so when I got the news, when I posted the flyer about the event that's coming up Friday, that's happening in Good Shepherd, and I received the news the next day about my aunt passing, it just it was a shocker. It was not something I was expected. Again, my family, if y'all are watching, please understand I am sharing my lens and my perspective. My aunt was in addiction. And I think for some of you, this may be the first time you heard this, but she was in addiction. Like I said, when it comes to trauma, when it comes to troubles and it comes to life, we all cope with it differently. Like I said, going to get the degrees and going and get all the awards and the accolades. For me, dealing with my trauma was, domestic violence in the home. Translation, seeing my dad physically abuse my mom, my dad not being there for a period of my life and then not being there. And then some other traumas, just losing loved ones, mama working a lot. So, but she had to because she was a single parent. So, ends had to be met, things like that. And so for me, being a successful kid, getting good grades means I wasn't a burden to my mom. And I'm just sharing my lens. Again, this is my lens. I'm sharing my perspective. So not sharing to make anyone look or feel a certain way, but I'm just sharing my lens. And I hope that me sharing gives you all permission to share your lens and to not share I don't share this with someone owes me something, because I have worked through a lot of this trauma, and I'm working still through a lot of the troubles that I've experienced in life. And so I'm actually feeling like I'm at a good place, and I'm actually feeling like I'm able to more express what is I need. I have a really bad habit of not asking for help. Really bad habit of not asking for help. And the reason why I'm like that is because my mom, like I said, my mom was a single parent raising me and my sister. And yes, I grew up living next door to my grandmother, but a lot of it, my mom raised us and she had to make sure the ends was met, and we had food and we got clothes for school and stuff like that. And so anywho, growing up, I felt like, let me just be successful. So initially it started out, so I won't stress my mom out and get that bad attention. And then it became into like, well, I am getting attention. I'm getting good attention. Like people are showing up to my award ceremony. My dad is showing up and back again now. And this is my lens. This is my lens I'm telling my story from. Then I was like, okay, my dad is showing up again now. And he's around. I'm getting freshman made and I'm getting awards and honors and top percentage in my class and this scholarship and that scholarship, and oh, I'm got accepted into college, and oh, I'm going to college. And then I realized that that was how I was dealing with my trauma, as I was trying to prove that I was worth it and that I was good enough. How many of us here who is even now live in this broadcast have done that? Wanted to show that I'm good enough, wanted to show that I'm worth the love, I'm worth the time, and I'm worth the attention. I think my aunt, in her passing, the reason why I'm moving forward with this event is because I told myself, Lord Jesus, help me. I don't want to cry, but I just might. I told myself, my aunt name is, and I wasn't going to say her name. No, I'm gonna keep her name. I told myself in my own personal time, she died that Tuesday night. And that Wednesday, I remember texting my boss, who's an amazing man, amazing therapist. And I texted him and I was like, my aunt passed. I just need a moment. I'll be in when I can. So me being a perfectionist and achiever, I end up getting up, going to work like, hey, let me just go ahead, go to work. And I remember telling myself, I just had a time, I would journal. I took some time to journal the next morning after I heard about my aunt's death. I said, we can't have no more women like this. We can't have no more men like this. Like, we can't have any more people dying broken. And I know you probably think, like, what are you saying? So when my aunt passed and the circumstances, I won't go into detail. Like I said, she dealt with addiction. And again, this is me telling from my lens. And I love her and I love her dearly. And I don't have any regrets. I don't have any takebacks because I learned something from it. I've always had the perspective that I was going to take, and always since I was young. I remember my mom, as our relationship has reconciled and we have gotten really close and bonded throughout all these years. I remember my mom telling me, you know what, as a kid, you just was very resilient. She said, you set your mind to something, you would do it. She said, if you had questions, you would ask your questions. And so she was just sharing with me what type of kid I was and stuff. She's like, I'm not surprised you are where you are today. And she shared how proud she is of me. But I was just that type of person growing up in my family. Is always saying, it got to be a better way. Got to be a better way. Got to be a different way that we can deal with life and cope. Because how many of you, as you have gotten older, and whether you are a man or a woman, come on in the room, men. Come on in the room, men. But whether you are a man or a woman, how many of you have realized that you haven't dealt with life the best way? You dealt with it, well, I'll rephrase that. You have dealt with it the best way you knew how. But how many of you know that there is a better way of dealing with it? And I don't want to come on here and I don't want to throw Bible scriptures at you. And I don't want to tell you to pray. And I don't want to tell you to fast. And I don't want to tell you your faith is low. I want to offer you that there is a way out. I want to offer you that how I get to my betterment, how you get to your betterment may look different, but as long as it's healthy, as long as we're acknowledging, number one, the pain, and as long as we're doing something to deal with the pain. And so a lot of times, and I'm gonna say this as an experience as a woman, a lot of times, especially when you came from families of the upbringing of single parents and the women, excuse me, or men, you kind of develop this notion of I need to do things on my own, or I need to know how to do things on my own because I don't want to have to be in need of someone. I don't want to have to be in need of something. I want to be able to handle it on my own. And I've developed that. And that just kind of layered because I would try to be good. So my mom wouldn't stress out and have to come to school. You know, I didn't want to get in trouble with the staff at school. So I would definitely want to be like, hey, let me be good. And then let me make good grades. So that really won't stress my mama out. She'll really be happy. And then I realized, oh, I'm getting good attention from this approval, I'm getting noticed. So that just kind of build on top of each other. And so us as people, not even just going to say women, us as people, we have to face the pain. And we have to make peace with it. I want y'all to put that in the comments. I have to make peace with my pain. Put that in the comments. Peace with pain. Peace with pain. You have to get to a place, because a lot of us, people who have wronged us, whether it be our parents, and look, y'all, I had to realize that my mom was a person before she was my mom. Like, she wasn't just sitting around waiting to become my mom. She wasn't just sitting around waiting to have kids. She wasn't just sitting around waiting for me and my sister to be here so she can have purpose, right? My mom was a person, and some of y'all need to say this out loud. My parents, my mom, my guardian, whoever it is take care of you, they are a person. And they had purpose and a plan before they had me. They did. And we have to realize that because they were people just like us, just like we were little kids and things happened to us and things harmed us and things hurt us as we were growing up, it did to them too. And we live in such a instant world. Everything is instantaneous. You can literally pick up your phone and type in Google, and next thing you know, you have, oh goodness, don't type in that you're sick, because it's going to tell you from, oh, you just got a sinus infection, oh, till you got cancer. So be careful with that. But honestly, seriously, we live in such an instantaneous world that we can literally have access at the drop of our fingertips. So we don't have to wait on anything. So a lot of times we want quick answers. And because we want quick answers, we want quick fixes. And that leads to all this other stuff that's not good for us and how we cope and manage pain. But we have to make peace with our pain. Yes, feel what you feel. Yes, deal in order to feel, but we have to make peace with it. Because I realize, even growing up and even now, if you don't make peace with your pain, you can ignore it if you want to, but something is going to brush up against it and remind you that the pain is there. Again, something is going to brush up against that pain, whatever that trouble is, whatever that stressor is that you have not dealt with. that I have not dealt with, that we have not dealt with. It's going to remind you, something's going to push up against it and remind you that the pain is still there. It's not weak to acknowledge that you have emotions. I know, let me talk to some of us Black women real quick. We take pride in being strong. I'm going to say that again, just in case y'all didn't hear me clearly. Okay? We take pride in being strong. But I'm going to go into what my higher power says about being strong, to what my God says, to what my Jesus said. He says, in your weakness am I strong. Not in your strength am I strong. If you're strong, you don't need me. What you need me for, right? But in your weakness am I strong. So I realized that and think about it, y'all ever hear people put those quotes up talking about, hey, check on your strong friends. I know you think they're okay, but they're not. So why are we walking around like we okay? We up here, we need help. I have to remind my husband watching. Husband, if you watching, put something in the chat. If you watching, he should be on his way home. Put something in the chat if you watching. I have to remind my husband. Yeah, I'm about to get you, babe. I have to remind my husband, you can't do everything by yourself. And he has to remind me too. We help each other. We all help us one to another. Amen. But anyways, I have to remind my husband, and he has to remind me. He has to remind me, baby, ask for help. Ask for what you need. I don't know unless you ask. And then I have to remind him, you weren't meant to do it alone. And that you have help here. And some of us need that reminder. And I just want to remind you on this afternoon that you have help. You have help. I'm going to say that again. You have help. Help is here. We are, one of the things that I really want to create for us at Good Shepherd, the Lazy Good Shepherd, is a space and a place of freedom to have these conversations. I want us to be able to have these conversations because really we help someone else by sharing some of the things, difficulties that we've gone through or been through or that we are going through. How many of you have ever felt like you were going through something that nobody else was going through? Maybe 2 hands for me. I have. And so we need to be reminded in the church, not in the church, in the world, right? Because we even live in a culture of America that it's all about be all you can be successful. If you're not successful, then whose fault is that? That's your fault, right? That's the culture that we live in. So we need to be reminded that we can reach out and ask for help. And I'm talking to me, and I look, and this is something that's still a struggle for me. Still a struggle for me to ask for help. A lot of times people who know me or who's getting to know me, they'll look at me and they think that, oh, she got it. She got it under control. 2 kids working, husband's a pastor. She got it. And on the inside, I'm like, help me. Right? But I got to ask. We got to ask, right? So y'all come on, y'all talk to me in the chat. Don't get quiet in the chats. And if it's marinate, just say, woo, put the Excel face or something. But I want y'all to look, I want y'all to talk to me. I want y'all to have a conversation. If it's good to you, just say, woo, this is helping. That is real. That is so real. And even like in this last season, for me, Debbie, I've had a huge fear of failure because I was stepping into roles that were new for me. I was stepping in, me and my husband had been appointed to be leaders of Good Shepherd. And I transitioned into new job role. I think the only thing that I went through in the last season, we bought a house, sold a house. I mean, everything that could change in the last year did. And the only thing that didn't give me any anxiety, yes, I did say that word anxiety. I struggled with anxiety. The only thing that did give me anxiety was having my second child. In the midst of buying a house, selling a house, husband getting a new job, me resigning from my old job and getting a new job. I mean, the only thing that did not give me anxiety was having my baby. And I had a C-section or a cesarean. Yep. So that that was comfortable because I it was my second child. So I was like, oh, I got motherhood. I got this. And it was an easy delivery, and she's been an easy baby. She slept through the night. Like on her third day, she slept through the night. I mean, like, yeah, it couldn't get no better than that. And so when I started stepping into these roles, like even as a pastor's wife, I felt this huge sense to be perfect, right? And how many of y'all know there is no real measure for perfectionism? There is no real measure for perfectionism. And I hope that some other pastors' wives that are in the room, if you're in the room, say something to me. But that sense of being perfect, right? Because you're in a role, it's almost like you're in a fish tank or a glass circle bowl, and the fish is in there. I remember when I had a little pet fish. I had a little glass circle bowl and little fish was in there. But anywho, it's like you're being on watch constantly. And I won't go too much into this, but that was how I was feeling. It's like I had to be perfect. And that I had no room to make any mistakes. And I even felt like that with my new job positions. Like I needed to be perfect and not make any mistakes. But how many of y'all know that that's not true? And that's not realistic. And that we as humans still figuring out life, we are bound to make mistakes. Even on up, right? Even on up. There are things that happen. There are mistakes. And we learn from them, we grow from them, and we keep it moving. So another thing I wanted to share, why we're having this night of Heal Her. And if you're wondering, like, oh, I want to bring my young daughter, my teenage daughter, whatever is appropriate. Yes, we're just going to have some general conversations. We're going to have some general conversations about why we need to heal her and why we need to heal him. Because there's a little girl in me. There's a little girl or a little boy in you. And yes, we've grown up and we are the age that we are now. But there sometimes may have been some things that have happened to us younger that are unresolved. So I want to open up a room, a safe space for us to just have talk and discussion and for you to ask questions. And even tonight, you'll be able to ask some questions. But it's important to heal her. It's important to heal him because there's a little kid on the inside of you that has experienced disappointment, that has experienced rejection, that has experienced maybe abandonment, neglect, that has felt lonely, that has felt anxiety, maybe even depression. And you felt like no one knew the cries of your problems, that no one knew the cries of your troubles, and you just needed someone to come in a room and say, I hear you, I see you. And if we don't, I think about my aunt that passed away and the troubles that she experienced and how she coped, which is addiction. And I think about, man, if somebody just would have gave her or told her, and us as family, we do the best we can. That's why I don't have any regrets because I did the best I could with that relationship and what I knew how. I don't have any regrets at all. But us as family, sometimes we don't just give each other the space. Just each other the space to say, you know what? I don't know how to handle him. I don't know how to handle her and their challenges and their troubles because I'm still trying to figure out how to handle my own. There are some days, there's been times where I've cried. I've just cried as I'm going through therapy and I'm going through these different roles and I'm learning to be gracious to myself. And it's been so freeing and liberating, but also so scary at the same time. But I'm learning to be gracious to myself. And I was just thinking one day I was crying. And I remember my daughter, my oldest daughter, Zoe. She's so smart. Ooh, excuse me. She came up to me and she said, Mommy, you crying? Are you okay? And I used to be like, no, mommy's good, mommy's okay, because I don't want her to feel the burden to care for me. But my daughter Zoe, that's something innately in her, and I don't want her going around thinking, oh, mommy's okay, but okay is crying or okay is sad and tearful. I want her to really know how to properly identify her emotions. And so that's something that me and my husband, we try to encourage with our kids. Like even with our little baby who's about to be 1. Oh my God, my baby's about to be 1. She'll be 1 Saturday. But even with her, if she mad, we be like, "Are you mad?" And she say, "Well, are you mad?" Or she put her little head on mommy's shoulder. We're like, "Oh, are you happy to see mama? Or are you relieved to see mama?" We try to identify, use specific words to identify. So I have shared with my daughter, yes, Zoe, mommy is sad. And if she asks why, I give an age appropriate answer. She's 3 years old. Well, mommy is sad because something hurt her feelings. And she said, "Mommy, are you going to be okay?" Mommy is working through that process. So those are the conversations that we have even with our daughter, because we don't want her to grow up and feel, I can't tell you how many women I have talked to who have young kids or who have older kids who say, I don't know how to ask my children how they feel because nobody ever asked me how I feel. Is there anybody in the chat? Come on, y'all talk to me. Don't get quiet on me. I know y'all is marinating. I know it's maybe hitting a little deep. Don't get quiet on me now. Don't get quiet on me. But some of us in here that's in the healing room tonight, nobody ever asked us how we felt. Nobody ever asked us if we were okay. Nobody asked us, check in. Let's just check in. How you feeling? You have a good day? How did that make you feel? I know I didn't get that. It wasn't because my mom was a bad mom. It wasn't because she wasn't a good parent. I think my mom was fabulous. Hard worker. I get my hard work ethic from her. And my mom was so caring. She would give you, if you needed $10 and all she had was 5, she'll give you her $5. That's how phenomenal my mom is. And that's where I get that from. Like my husband always tell me, like, be careful what you're giving. He's like, babe, you're so giving. I remember one time he may be watching, or some of our family may be watching. But I remember one time my husband was getting somebody a gift. I ain't even gonna say who it is, but he was getting somebody a gift. And I remember him saying, "Oh yeah, I told him I was gonna spend this much on the gift, so they owe me." I said, "Now wait a minute. How this gonna be a gift and they gonna pay you when you get?" I said, "Babe, that's not a gift." I said, "Just pay for it. Just a little extra. Pay for it, wrap it up, give it to him as a gift." He made me watch it. He may go back and watch this. But yes, I'm talking about you, boo. So, but yeah, some of us haven't had the opportunities for people to ask us how we feel. So I want to share this, and then I'm gonna open up the floor for questions. I thought I saw someone earlier who had a question. I'm gonna go back here and look through my comments to make sure. Um, I don't know if you're asking this question, Crystal. I feel like, and you let me know in the comments, I feel like what you're saying is, it's like, I know I have to heal, and not having your parents here make it hard. And it's like you're asking the question, what do you do after so much? Yeah, my husband just walked in. That's who I heard. I hope he know. He probably hear me. I've been talking about him on this live. But Crystal, if you're asking this question, like, I feel like that's what you're saying. If you are still in the room, please comment, let me know. I know I have, and not having my parents here now makes it hard, because what do you do after so much? Even after so much, you just got to start somewhere. Sometimes even it can be like, man, all this is going on, I don't know what to do. You have to start somewhere. And that somewhere could just be as simple as setting up a therapy session. That somewhere could be, finding a friend to confide in that's safe. I really think, and I'll share this with y'all even more so, maybe another live or another time, but I think we all need like a supportive network, if that's what you want to call it. We need the friends. If you have a significant other, that's great. We need like a mentor or a coach. I think a therapist in there and a spiritual guide, whatever that looks like. Whatever you believe, whatever that looks like. So I think spiritual guide for me is gonna be my pastor. Okay. Mentor, I have that. Therapist, life coach, whatever, have that. And like friends, have that. And so I think it's important to have a supportive network. Your supportive network don't only need to support you, but I think your supportive network need to challenge you. So they only don't need to support you, because sometimes we're good with having people around who likes us and they are yes man. Yes man, yes woman, yes, yes, yes. Whatever you say. No, they need to challenge us too as well. And I ain't gonna get on my soapbox, but sometimes that's what's wrong with a lot of us. We got too many people saying yes to us. Some people need to teach us how to say no. Or some people need to say no to us. Or some people need to challenge us to think differently. Why you want to have people around you all the time that think just like you? You're not growing. I enjoy the people that I work with because we all raised different. We all have different perspectives, and we all bring that to the table. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room, okay? Some people, we're fine with being the smart person in the room because it makes us feel good and confident. But if you're very secure in yourself, you shouldn't mind not only being the smartest person in the room. You should mind being in a room filled with smart people. Okay? Okay. Let me see if I see some. Yes, Crystal. After so much, I become Mormon. And this is what pain does. Crystal, you're not the only one. I commend you for admitting it. But this is what pain does. It causes us to isolate. That's one of the things pain can do. And then when other people isolate it, it kind of builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. But pain can cause us to isolate because we can feel like either people are taking advantage of us or people not understanding, whatever it is. But like I said, we were not meant to do it alone. We were not meant to be by ourselves. People, and I'm not just talking just like religiously or in the church. I'm talking about our human makeup. We were built for community. Why do you think when COVID-19 came at the beginning of that, why do you think, and it's still going on, so I said at the beginning of that, why do you think it was so hard for people to be at the house? Because we were built for a community. We were built as people to be a part of something. And so we can't handle being isolated and by ourselves. So I want to encourage you, Crystal, and anybody else. Look, she was brave enough to admit it. I want to encourage you to go and begin to work through some of those troubles and that pain and make peace with it and find you a supportive community that can love on you and you can love them back. I see another question here. Have you ever felt guilty for setting boundaries? I did at first. I don't now. I did at first. I do not now. Right? We can still love people unconditionally and not give them access to us. We can still love people unconditionally and not give them access to us. It's hard for a healthy person and an unhealthy person to be in the same environment. Okay. One person gonna start just gonna be giving and one person gonna be taking. Or one person gonna come in and cause chaos and the other person peace is gonna be disrupted. So I think there's a healthy way to set boundaries and limits. Because like what we tend to do sometimes as people is we be extreme. We go from one extreme to the other. So we go from letting everybody in, letting nobody in. No, we have to be balanced. And sometimes it comes from trial and error. I know sometimes we could be scared to take risks. I thought I was a risk taker, but no, if I could plan every second of my life, I would. That just comes with helping me feel secure and stable because of some trauma that I've experienced. I like being stable. I like stability. I like to know what's going to come next, right? I like to have plans, spontaneity. That's a thing. But I'm more so like a planner. I thought I was a risk taker, but I'm more so like a planner. So I'm learning to take risks. I think it's good to set limits or set boundaries and to not feel guilty about what it is you need. You can still love people unconditionally, but you cannot give them access to you, if that makes sense. A lot of times we feel like we have to give everybody access to us. Even I felt that too. Even as a pastor's wife, I felt like I got to give everybody access to me, but I got to be honest about what I can give in this moment, And if something's going on with me, then I'm not really the best help for you right now. But I can maybe send you to somebody who can, right? And so if you're in this, and seasons come and seasons go, right? And I believe in being total transparent. Like my friends and people who I'm learning, becoming friends and building a friendship with, they'll tell you. Kiki is very clear. Like, hey, if you text me, say, hey, I'm calling you back, and I'm in a moment where I'm like, hey, girl, it's been a long day. I'm gonna go ahead and turn in. I'm gonna call you tomorrow. Is that okay? That's just kind of how I do. For me, that's technically setting a boundary, setting a limit. A lot of times we think boundaries have to be extreme, or they have to be extreme. It could be like, this is what I need in this moment. Can you give it? No. Okay. Well, I love you anyways. Don't have to be nothing extreme. Right. Here's another question. How do you handle your anxiety? So for me, I don't know if I've even shared this, but I'm going to share it anyway. So for me, my anxiety had gotten to the point where it was so bad this year that I had to get back in therapy. I had to get back in therapy. It was that bad. I had to get back in therapy. And also as a therapist, and even as a pastor's wife, I tell people there's nothing wrong if you need to take medication a little bit. Because I know that was something that my therapist mentioned to me. And so going to therapy has been a wonderful, excellent thing for me. Also, I think for me, I've had to do a lot of positive talk to myself, a lot of positive talking to myself, a lot of journaling. And I would even say this: if you go to therapy for a while and it's helping, but it's still the symptoms are significant, I don't think there's anything wrong with looking into starting off with a small dosage of something. Because I've had clients that they say, you know what, I don't want to take any medicine. I don't want to take any medicine. I'm like, okay, well, we'll try therapy. We'll see how your symptoms are doing, and they may do it, and the symptoms are good. Or if they may do it and they're enjoying therapy, but the symptoms are still severe, then I may look at referring them to a nurse practitioner or whatever, But where I work at now, we have a nurse on staff. But we may look at that. So, and if you've been through a lot of, troubles and stressors and stuff, and you haven't been to therapy, you might need to take medication to kind of get the symptoms down so you can engage in therapy. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of us could be okay with going to therapy, but I don't want to take the medication. A lot of us can be okay with some people. I know some people, they just rather just take the medication and not go to therapy. But you need to do both. Depending on how significant it is, you need to do both, because the symptoms may decrease with the medication, but if you don't talk through how you got to where you are, then it can just bring the symptoms back, right? So talking helps kind of get you to work through all that. And yes, therapy can be, you can keep a journal. Yes, all that stuff helps, but y'all, sometimes you need to do a lot of different things depending on what the trauma is, the stressor is, and we cannot be afraid to use the resources that we got. If you got insurance and you got the money and the resources to go to therapy, go. If your therapist suggests possible medication, give it a try. Or I say give the therapy a try, and then if it's not working or you feel like your symptoms are still, because sometimes with therapy, it can open up those wounds in your soul, and if it opens up those wounds, sometimes it may exacerbate the symptoms. So sometimes it's good to start a low dosage of something, and then eventually with therapy, you can come off of it if that's what you desire to do. I've had clients that started medication, they eventually come off of it. I've had clients that they stay on it and it's working and they're glad about it, right? I tell them to look at it like you're taking a vitamin, okay? Look at it like y'all have medication as a diabetic and stuff. So, hey, sometimes that can be a huge taboo in the church, but we cannot be afraid of being well if it's going to help us be well. Hey, we got to do what's going to help us be well. Okay. So there's different things. Also, a lot of times with anxiety, when we think of anxiety, it's a fear of something. So if we're anxious, it's a fear of something. So ask yourself, what is the fear? What is the biggest fear there? Fear of failure. I know, well, I'm gonna speak for me. Fear of failure, fear of not succeeding, fear of not achieving, fear of not making people proud, fear of maybe people not liking me. So ask yourself, what is the fear there? What is the fear there? And then once you identify that fear, work through that through therapy. Sometimes we can be so anxious, it can get us in a depressive state too. Because a lot of times people say, I'm dealing with anxiety and depression. Sometimes those things can work in tandem, right? Sometimes we can be so anxious, it make us depressed because we feel like I'm so anxious. I can't think, I can't do nothing because I'm just anxious on a ball of nerves. It makes me depressed, right? I feel like it's not going to end. I feel like it's not going to get better. And then sometimes we can deal with depression. And because we're depressed, we feel like we're low and we don't want to do nothing. And a lot of things don't get done. It makes us anxious. So sometimes those things can work in tandem. And so with anxiety, if it's strictly anxiety, figure out what is the fear there. What are you afraid of? I know for me, I was afraid of feeling like I need to be perfect, especially in this last season. And then it was a lot of times it's fear of the unknown. So for me, these new roles that I'm now occupying, fear of how do I do this? How do I do that? Well, so and so do it this way, but I feel like to do it this way, all these different things. So with anxiety, we have to identify what is the fear and then work through that fear, right? Work through that fear. This is another question. Are there different types of anxiety? Yes. According to the diagnostic manual used for clinicians and therapists, there are different types of anxiety. I won't get into that in that live, but yes, there are different types of anxiety. Just to keep it general, you can just have generalized anxiety. So generalized anxiety can be just plain, I'm just anxious. It can be a new transition has made you anxious. It could be a new adjustment has made you anxious. A new role in your life could have made you anxious. Maybe that could be starting grad school, finishing grad school, starting a new job, anything like that. That's general anxiety. And then of course, other symptoms, they have to be there for a period of time in order for you to be diagnosed with it. But I even say sometimes we can have situational anxiety. That's not in the diagnostic manual that clinicians use, but sometimes we can have situational anxiety. So there could be a situation or circumstance that is going on in my life right now that is causing me to be anxious. I may not have these symptoms existing for a period of time, but I have these symptoms existing right now, and they're causing some disruption in my life and my relationships. And I think I need to go talk to somebody and get help. Then there's social anxiety. So that means you get maybe anxious or in social settings. And there's more to these diagnoses. So don't sit here and say, Lady K or Keisha or Kiki is diagnosing you. I am not. This is not therapy. If you want to get a diagnosis or you want to see if you got anxiety, go see you a therapist. I'm not diagnosing you. This is not therapy. I'm just giving you a little information and we're just having a discussion. And so, yeah, there are different types of anxiety, if that answers your question. So a little bit of what I wanted to share before I got off this live, because we've been here an hour. This has been a great discussion. If you've been enjoying it, please put it in the comments. If you have been enjoying this discussion, please put it in the comments, like, share, comment, remember, and tag a friend that can go back and watch the replay. They can go back and watch the replay. Remember, our goal here in the healing room is to what? Let's heal together. And please let me know if you have any follow-up questions or follow-up answers, whatever, to the questions for those who ask. So please let me know if you do. And so I'm glad that you are enjoying it. And so, lastly, before I get off, on this live, I'm so glad. I'm looking forward to Friday too. I'm so excited. So before I get off on this live and wrap things up, I was sitting in a training on this past Friday, and like I said, my boss, my supervisor, he is phenomenal human being, individual. It's just phenomenal. I can't say enough how much I appreciate him and have thankful for him, and so thankful for who he is and who he's become. He's just a phenomenal supervisor and just person all around. Great guy. But he did a training. He presented to the staff a training that he presented at a national conference. So awesome, exciting. And it basically talked about, the child within. And it talked about trauma and things like that. And I mean, it was such a confirmation for me. I was like, okay, yeah, I need to deal with this, because one of the things that stuck out so much that he said is he shared how he was told by one of his supportive people is like, hey, would you, say those things to your son? Those things that we say to ourselves. Those things that we say to ourselves and our hurts and our troubles, that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy, that don't ask for help. They may say no, or they may reject you. Will we tell that to our kids? Will we tell that to somebody that we really, really care about? Would we do that? Because it's easy for us to be critical to ourselves. You can't do that to somebody you care about. So if you can't do that to somebody you care about, then why do you do it to you? Why do I do it to me? So he did something that was so profound to me, and it has really resonated with me. I'm even thinking about doing this Friday night. Is he basically, he said that now he has a picture of himself as a younger kid, and he, talked about how he has it up in his office. And that's right, Shalonda. I used to work with Shalonda at Pines and Katie Hill. That's right, self-compassion. And he talks about how he keeps that picture up as a reminder to be kind to himself. There's a child on the inside of you. There's a child on the inside of me. And so I'm going to share with y'all my little cute baby picture. I'm going to share with y'all my little cute baby picture that I have. I got two of them. I'm going to show you one of them that is hanging up. Well, I have it pinned up at the top of my desk. Let's see if I can find it. And this is just a reminder to me, like, hey, be kind to yourself. Be nice to yourself. Love yourself. Oh my goodness, y'all just get ready. This is like the cutest picture ever. That's me. That is me. I was so cute. Still is. But anyways, so that's one of the pictures that I have up hanging above my desk, because I'm at my desk a lot at work, and I spend a lot of time at work. And those, yes, mother, I was so cute. And so that's something that I do, because as kids, y'all, you can't tell a child nothing. They are resilient, they are brave, they are fearless. Like Zoe, Judah, I can't tell my kids nothing. They don't have no fear. No, I guess identifier of fear yet. What was always starting to. But it's like amazing to watch, and it's so inspiring to watch. And so I have that picture hanging up above my desk, and I was so encouraged by my boss's presentation that there's a child on the inside of me. And thank you. And I have to heal that little girl, and you have to heal that little girl, and you have to heal that little boy on the inside. And it's not fair for you to walk around being half of who you could be when there is so much more within you. So I want to encourage you all, if you are in the area of Pontotoc, Mississippi, on Friday afternoon, get off work, go eat, freshen up, and come on and join us for the conversation of Heal Her. So come on in and enjoy the conversation of Heal Her. Because it's very important that you be your best self. And sometimes, in order for us to be our best self, we have to heal our younger self. And I'm just so thankful that I have people around me who reminds me of how brilliant I am. When I don't see it in myself, when I don't feel it in myself, I'm so thankful to have people around me to remind me that I deserve to be my best self. The only thing I wish for my aunt who passed away and who had her own trauma and her own troubles, and we have a share of our own, right? The only thing I wish for her is that she was able to experience the fullness of what healing looked like, and the fullness, that life, that abundant life that she could have had if she would have got just permission to hurt, and to permission to feel the hurt, so she can have the permission to heal. And I'm here to give you permission. I'm here to give you permission to feel the hurt. You don't have to push it down. You don't have to suppress it. You don't have to hide it or sweep it under the rug, because eventually you'll trip over the mess. I'm here to give you permission to feel so you can deal, so you can heal. I want y'all to put that in the comments. Thank you, Sister Gracie. Heal her. If you're a man and you watching, put heal him. Put that in the comments. Heal her. I'm going to type it in there too. Put that in the comments. Heal her. If you a man, put heal him. Yes. Love it. Love it. Love it. Heal. We're going to heal. We're going to heal. We're going to feel. We're going to deal. We're going to do all that. Because the word says, I pray above all things that you prosper and be in good health, even as your soul does prosper. So we can only prosper to the capacity that our soul is at. But if my soul is injured and my soul is fractured, I eventually am going to have to deal with those fractures of my soul. Doesn't make it a bad thing. It's a good thing. You're in good company. Because now you have permission to heal. So is anybody, I know we had a moment of questions, but does anybody have any questions before we wrap this thing up? Y'all, this has been a wonderful conversation, but I just wanted to give you just a little taste of what is going to happen on Friday night. And I want y'all to come on in. We'll be a good shepherd. We'll also have a virtual broadcast as well, but it ain't nothing like gonna be like being in the room. Y'all been asking for an in-person healing room. Well, guess what? You gonna get it. So y'all been asking, you gonna get it, okay? So we would love to see you in the room. We'll be at 184 West Bolton Street in the beautiful city of Pontotoc, Mississippi. So I would love for y'all to come in and tune in, okay? So if there is no questions, I just want to say thank you for taking the time out of your Tuesday afternoon and tuning in to this live broadcast. And remember to tag a friend and they can go back and watch the replay. But remember, our goal here is to heal together. So I'm hoping I get to see you on Friday night in the in-person healing room. Or we will have a virtual option as well. But ain't gonna be nothing like being there. Ain't gonna be nothing like it. But I hope you have a wonderful night. And remember, you gotta start somewhere. So begin today. Peace.